Hello everyone, and welcome to this new video tutorial for Maverick Render. Today we will learn how to render arbitrary output values, also known as Aovs, and masks to later use them for image post-processing. In the Aovs panel we will find different categories. Let's enable some of the HDR Aovs, which correspond to different light components in the render. Let's also enable the depth and ambient occlusion Aovs. In order to visualize these Aovs we may use the combo box at the bottom of the IPR. Let's fine-tune the depth channel using the far and near sliders. Let's also fine-tune the out channel changing the occlusion radius. Let's now pick the main Aov in the combo box and head to the render panel. Here we will configure our output file name and pixel format to be a 16-bit Photoshop document. Note that PSD support is a feature introduced in our most recent release. We will disable the Embed Alpha option since we won't need it for this example. Let's make sure that the Include Active Aovs option is enabled since it is the Aovs that we are after. And just render. We might configure final quality render parameters here, but instead we will run a draft render for our quick test. As soon as the render is done, we click the Open Output File button to get our render to open directly in Photoshop. Maverick transported the render and our Aovs as layers in the PSD output file. Now we can composite them as we please. For example, a common use of the depth Aov is to set it in screen mode to simulate haze. Ambient occlusion is often used in multiply mode to harden the shading in the image. But more important than these artistic Aovs are the ones that one can use as render masks. Our example scene is organized in groups. In each group's properties we can specify a mask color under the compositing rollup. Let's define a typical red, green and blue mask to tell groups from one another. In the Aovs panel we will enable the Object ID channel, and select the Use Mask Color option. We will disable the rest of Aovs since we won't need those this time. We run a new draft render, which will open in Photoshop again, where we will find our render and our RGB mask. With this mask we can easily select either group using Photoshop's native RGB channels. We may do some typical mask operations by adding adjustment layers. Back in Maverick, if we want to create a mask for one object contained in a group, we must disable the Inherit from Parent option to make the object provide its own compositing settings. Let's assign a white color for the object's mask and render again. If we open the output now we will see how the bishop's mask is white. Before we wrap up, let's see how to create per-material masks in Maverick. Let's select a material and head to the Extra rollup, where we can configure a mask color. In the Aovs panel, let's disable the Object ID channel and enable the Material ID 1, picking the Use Mask Color option. Let's render and open the PSD output again. We will get the render and the mask for the two materials we set a mask color for. As you can see, it is really easy to use the Aovs panel and create compositing masks for your renders. Support for PSD files brings a great deal of comfort as well. This is all for now. See you in the next video. Have fun rendering with Maverick.